Hi, I'm Tim Hungerford. Recently I did a webinar on remotely managing fraud during a crisis. I hope you'll enjoy it. So let's get into the key areas of concern next. And I basically went through the fraud areas I've looked at over the years, and I've said, what are some of the key hot spots, and then what are some of the areas where crisis could impact that? Every company is going to be different. Every company is going to have some major area that's very important to them. For example, you see payroll, cash, vendor, customers, inventory, and computer, but a company like Excelis has claims processing. That's going to be something they'll really have to look at as far as their areas of concern. But let's look at some of the general ones. I'm going to start with payroll. So, payroll schemes in a crisis. As we've seen with PPP loan financing and everything going on about keeping employees and all the unemployment rate the way it is, there's just a lot of terminations that have been going out there. So there's still the opportunity that terminated employees may remain on the payroll. Now, that could be intentional. A manager or a personnel employee wants that terminated employee to stay or be paid. There could be unintentionals, so much work that people are trying to do from different ways, fewer resources, failed communications, that people may stay on the payroll that aren't supposed to be there. That's where I say in the top that during the crisis, internal audit should really be making payroll a focus more than the normal audit process, but oversight on almost a weekly or biweekly basis just to tick it and tie it and make sure that it makes sense. Direct deposit account changes happen during this period too. Someone is trying to divert a terminated employee pay to their own account, or someone is diverting an existing employee pay through a phishing scam. One of my clients recently told me, and it was the IT director, he said that the payroll person had received an email from him trying to change his direct deposit details. Well, fortunately, the payroll person was seasoned enough, and there was only a couple of payroll people at this particular entity, and they went back and asked the IT director, and once they did the research on it, they found that it was a phishing attempt that had come from somewhere in Africa to try to divert those funds. So there's a lot of that phishing going on right now as people are trying to take advantage of how we're dealing with crisis. Overtime scams are something else you need to look at. Most of the entities that I'm dealing with right now are trying to manage or eliminate overtime as much as possible. So if you see any increases in overtime, uh, that could be a roundabout way for someone to take advantage of the situation and the lack of controls and try and get themselves some extra pay. And then finally, any new employee that gets added right now really should go through a vetting process. If you've got a good vetting process, you're fine. Make sure it's still intact. Make sure new employees have been verified in a crisis just in case something's getting added that shouldn't be as a ghost employee. So those are the payroll schemes in a crisis.